There's no other place Debbie and I would rather be than with you right now. Thanks for making time to join us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. And today our conversation will center around what everybody is talking about after we die.
No, that's kind of
is that morbid. A downer? Actually, though, Debbie, it's going to be a very positive conversation.
Yes.
Everybody, Debbie, everyone who ever lives will leave his or her imprint on the world. Sometimes we call it a legacy. We're getting close to the end of the presidency of Barack Obama, and we see it with the end of every president. They always get the conversation going, what will his legacy be?
Positive or negative?
Well, yeah, and so there's this idea of leaving a legacy, Debbie. I think it's important because we want to do what God creates us to do it faithfully and to do it joyfully and willingly. And if we do that, then we're going to be remembered for something. And we want to hear from our listeners today if they could kind of direct what their legacy might be and footprint and imprint they leave on this world. What would that be?
This is a great exercise for all of us to partake in, and it's not a prideful exercise. It's a way for us to really try to look deep within ourselves to see if we are living on purpose, if we really understand what our existence here on earth is meant to do for us in terms of eternity. And so it allows us to really just kind of shape where we're at and where we're going, and I think it's going to benefit all of us. So we're going to ask you now to call in and share what gift you want to leave the world. What legacy, what footprint, what impact do you want to leave the world with when you depart? So you got to dial in and share at 1-800-585-9396. A lot of people, Jerry, write their own obituaries. They've done that. That's an exercise that people have done where they just want to be remembered a certain way. And I don't think it's morbid at all because it's a reality. And we should be realistic about what life is all about because really life begins when we enter eternity. And so this is a great lesson for all of us. 1-800-585-9396. Jerry, I'm going to ask you, I'm not going to have our listeners wait till the end. I'm just not. It's not fair to do. Jerry, what is your legacy you'd like to leave the world? What gift do you want to leave the world?
Well, let me back up just for a second and tag on to what you said there. This isn't meant to be a morbid exercise. In fact, you may be a young person. You may have decades and decades to live if nature takes its course. So you actually have your legacy yet to unfold in your life. So you still have a little bit more control over that than, say, some of us who are in our 50s and 60s and 70s. But if you've lived a little bit of a longer life, maybe you're a senior citizen, and you look back and you say, I think that I did the best that I could. I was where God wanted me to be, and this is what I would like to be remembered for. This is what we want you to call in and share today. 1-800-585-9396. Okay, Debbie, well, if I may just be, I think as I've examined and pondered this, reflected on it leading up to this show today, I believe that, first of all, I believe that I am doing what I was created by God to do. Okay, I believe that God, from all eternity, saw that He would call me into media work. He has gifted me to do that, given me the experience to do that. And so I hope and pray I've been faithful in doing that. And if I have, then perhaps that will be the legacy that I leave, is just that I did what God called me to do, what He created me to do, and I tried to do it, like you said, purposely and faithfully. And so hopefully there will be some good that has come out of that. Mm-hmm. What about you?
Absolutely. Well, God knows, Jerry, you've been in Catholic media forever. So I hope it's on purpose. I would think it is. Yeah. But no, you're doing great work, Jerry, and you do it so humbly and you never toot your own horn there. You never do that. The rest of us get to do that for you because I think you do deserve. You've done a lot. You've paved the way for a lot of people. You've helped a lot of people. See, I'm going to cry because I know how many people you've helped, and including me. So you're just a really good person. So I believe you are living on purpose, Jerry. And how about me? Wow. Ministry. That's all. I've always, since a small child, my uncle, he's a priest, a diocesan priest in New Jersey, and he played a huge impact on all of us. And my aunt, who is a sister, Dominican sister, there was vocations all around us, and just ministry work always seemed to be in our homes. God was always at the center of our conversations, always. And I as a small child, I always remembered feeling the most authentic, Jerry. I felt the most authentic when I was talking about God. And so I think that if I were to pass tomorrow, I would just love to be remembered that I just really had a strong love for God, and I wanted other people to feel that same love. And so ministry for me would be the legacy, of course, and then also with the other things, like I want to be remembered as a good daughter and a good wife and a good mother, and those
Sure.
other situations that we all find ourselves in. But yeah, so I think we join in that, because media for you, Jerry, in my view, is ministry. So that's really big. And I think when people find their purpose and they find that they are their most authentic self, doing whatever they feel God has called them to do, that's when they flourish. And that's when blessings happen, even through trials and tribulations. The people remain faithful because they're on purpose. And it's a beautiful thing to see other people living with that purpose. What's the best-selling book? The Purpose-Driven Life.
Purpose-Driven Life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's no doubt, Debbie. You definitely touched many, many lives, and together with Marty, your husband, you two just really are just blessing so many people. So here again, phone number, folks: 1-800-585-9396. So maybe we can ask it this way: if you could complete this sentence. When I leave the world, dear listeners, when you leave this world, the world is better because and something that you did. Are you? Do you believe you're where God wants you to be right now? Do you believe you've achieved some sort of a legacy already, if you can call it that? It doesn't have to be something huge. It can be that you raised your kids and they turned out solid and are practicing their faith, and you look, because so many parents want, first and foremost, what's best for their kids. So that's a legacy in and of itself. But it could be some sort of a talent. Debbie, sometimes musicians and artists and others set out in this life simply to do, to create and to do, and they don't realize all of a sudden pretty soon they've changed the world with something that they created.
Mm-hmm. And let's not forget, too, that some folks have been blessed abundantly with money. And money is a way to further organizations and to further different ministries and missions. And so maybe you have been very generous with the money that God has blessed you with, and you have furthered hospitals and causes and all sorts of great things that really only money can really move forward. And so you have stepped up to that, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't want anybody to feel. I've always said this, Jerry, because I've been in fundraising for many years. People should never be ashamed of the money that they are in charge of. They should never be ashamed of it. If you have a lot of money, that is wonderful, because there's a lot of things you can do with it, and that's what's so beautiful about it. So you shouldn't be ashamed of it or kind of hide it, going, if you're a millionaire and kind of trying to hide it because maybe you think that's not Christian. Absolutely not. I know tons of millionaires that have done great work in Catholic radio, in hospitals, and for cancer causes. I mean, because they had the means to do it. And God will bless that. Our generosity, that's where God is smiling. So call in. There's an open phone line just for you. There's an open one. I'm looking at it. It's completely sitting blank, and I bet it has your name on it. 1-800-585-9396. We're talking today on Take Two about leaving a legacy in this world. If you were to depart today or tomorrow, what do you want to be remembered for? What imprint do you want to leave on this world? Let's talk about it. It helps us become better Christians. This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Don't Don't wait another minute. Now is the time to make your plans for the 2016 EWTN Family Celebration. September 17th and 18th are the dates, and Birmingham, Alabama is the place for our celebration of the life and legacy of Mother Angelica. Kids can have a fun-spirational time at EWTN's Faith Factory, where they can meet Brother Leo and sing along with the Donut Man and Duncan. And best of all, it's free. For more information, go to EWTN.com/family celebration.
Have you heard about Church Pop? It's the newest member of the EWTN family with new online Christian content that's fun and inspiring every day. Find it on Snapchat, Instagram, and on the web at churchpop.com.
What's stopping you from becoming a Catholic?
Why can't women become priests?
I don't understand why I have to earn salvation.
How is it possible that God created everything?
Why do I need to confess my sins to a priest?
Why is the Catholic Church so unwilling to The Catholic Church is too rich.
Catholics worship Mary and are committed.
As far as I'm concerned, all religions are equal.
You are called to communion with Dr. David Anders. Today, 2 p.m. Eastern, on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
This is Bishop John Brungart of the Diocese of Dodge City.
This is Colin Donovan, Vice President for Theology.
This is Father Larry Richards, host of Open Line Thursday. Thanks for listening to EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Take two with Jerry and Debbie and you. You drive the program. We do have jam-packed phone lines here, so each time we clear one up, we'd love to have you get on board. Share your take on legacies today. What would you like to leave behind? Leave the world a little bit better because you walk the face of this earth. 1-800-585-9396. Going to Chris first in Des Moines, listening to EWTN Radio on Iowa Catholic Radio. Chris, you are up first today on Take Two. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on today, Jerry.
You bet, Chris.
It's interesting. I started listening to Catholic radio about 6 months ago. I want to thank you folks very much for your show and listen on a local station here in Iowa. But just reaching out, try to keep it short today. Today would have been my father's 56th birthday. He did not necessarily leave a financial legacy, but he did leave a legacy in terms of just being very perseverant, and persevering especially through his faith. He went through a lot in life. Lost his father at the age of 2, and so I lost him just a couple of years ago, around 33. So I think my goal in life is just to kind of follow along in that same legacy and be very perseverant through faith. He was always one to not miss services on Sunday, and he would oftentimes be in tears at service, whether that was a good thing or a bad thing. But you could just tell that he was very devout in that regard. So that's certainly the kind of legacy that I want to pass on, is just to be, very, very perseverant in faith and share that with others. Naturally, if there are financial means and things to pass on through legacy, that's a great idea as well. But that's what I wanted to share today.
Chris, it sounds like your dad was your hero.
Yeah, in certain ways, yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Can you share his first name so we can just say thank you to God that he was born and left this great legacy?
I would be happy to do that. Thanks, Debbie. His name was actually Chris as well. So.
Oh, so you're named after your dad. How beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well,
and today would have been his birthday, so a very special day. And sorry about the loss, Chris. It seems like he died young, unfortunately, at least the way we consider these kinds of things. But the fact that you see this legacy of his, and no doubt, Chris, that is instilled within you, I would have to guess, a desire to pass that legacy on, which is, I think, a beautiful thing within families. Is that one of the inspirations you have, Chris, from your dad?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a perfect way to say it right there.
Wow. Well, Chris, go ahead, Deb.
I was just going to say Chris is a great son. You're a great son, Chris, and I'm sure your dad is just beaming ear to ear that if he's blessed to be able to hear what you're just saying right now, I'm sure he's just smiling. And so that's awesome.
Well, thank you very much. I'm smiling just hearing you say that, so I really appreciate it. And like I said, like you said, thanks be to God, and we don't sometimes know why things happen at the time they happen, but certainly as time passes on, we begin to learn. So I think that's what we're all on board for, and I'm sure that he can hear us. So I appreciate you folks having your show, and I'll certainly be listening to the rest of this one today as I try to listen, during these hours a lot during the lunch hour. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate the call. 1-800-585-9396. That's a bullseye right there. If you have something you'd like to share about what you would like to leave as your legacy in the world, or maybe even someone else's who has impacted you in some way, you can follow up on Chris, and we're going to go to Noel next in Fairview, Texas, listening to EWTN Radio on Guadalupe Radio. Noel, did I get the pronunciation of your name correct?
You absolutely did.
Awesome. Welcome. How are you?
I'm beautiful. Thank you.
Great.
I want to leave a legacy of joy.
Nice. So expound upon that a little bit, Noel.
Well, I was a nurse. I helped deliver babies for a living, and I hope I brought joy into the world that way. But also, I see so many people who are sad in this world. You go to the doctor's office, and they have gloomy faces on. And God doesn't want us to be sad. He wants us to be joyful because we are saved through Him. And so I started a blog called noelspiritups.com to keep your spirits up. And I started it out as really the mysteries of the rosary, just my own thoughts on meditation on that. But then I added little things, little tidbits that hopefully bring joy to people. For example, I say, don't be a pillar of salt like Lot's wife, but a pinch of salt that flavors the world. Or have you had your shot of grace today? All you have to do is ask. And wherever I go, I try to bring joy to the dire situation. So I hope my legacy will be joy.
And it's a beautiful undertaking, beautiful desire, Noel. We see joy spoken about so much throughout the Bible. And Jesus came and Jesus mentioned that he wanted our joy to be what? Complete. Not incomplete, but complete. And you made the point that so many people go through life with long faces, sad faces. They're going through very difficult things. And so it's not judging them for not everybody's going to have a smile on their face every moment of every day. But Debbie, for someone like Noel to almost make this a ministry, you never know the lives that are going to be changed, and those people then will go on and change so many other people's lives. It has an absolute ripple effect.
Yeah, it truly does. And Noel, I don't think there's any accident that your name is Noel, meaning Christmas, and talk about joy. I mean, your name fits it perfectly. So I think it sounds like you're right on the perfect pace of your purpose, and we wish you more and more people to be impacted by your joy ministry, Noel, and bless you for all you're doing, because you are making a difference. When all of us set out to do something in a positive way to make a difference, to push people closer to God, it's a beautiful thing to watch, and it's a beautiful thing to pray for. So we hold each other up. So thanks, Noel, so very much for your wonderful sharing of your life today.
Thank you, Noel. We appreciate the call, Noel, very much. 800-585-9396. We'll just move right along. Lots of calls to get to. Mary has us tuned in on EWTN Radio on Holy Family Radio in Illinois. Hi, Mary. You're next on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Hi, Mary.
Great.
So,
hi. Hello.
You are on
Mary.
the air. What would you like your legacy to be, Mary?
Well, first thing I want to say, Jerry, as I'm listening to this, is that, the enemy of our souls would like us to absolutely bounce that thought right out, because so many of us don't think, gee, I can actually do anything for the Lord. And that's what occurred to me as I heard your question first. It's like we're tempted to just diminish ourselves and think we can't really do anything. And yet, of course, the Lord calls us to listen to Him and respond. And so I think I want to encourage people listening, because, yes, you do have a ministry. You do have a legacy. And even if it takes a very long time, and I am a woman who's going to be 60 years old, and I used to think the Lord was leading me in one direction, and perhaps it was just my ego. So that's the other thing, is that it takes a long time. I don't think that comes easily for us to hear from the Lord about exactly what He's bringing us through to get us to mission and ministry. And that's another thing. Be patient and kind with yourself. Do you agree with me on that?
Oh yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
we're sitting back just taking it all in. What you're saying, Mary.
Yeah, be kind to yourself, because sometimes He'll take you the long way around to get to something. And for me, I thought for a number of years it would be something in the theater. It's like, I think, but then when you look at, okay, what is the spiritual gift behind performing? It's really not that. It's encouragement. And it's like, okay, well, it took me a long time to get to that. How do I encourage through this gift? And now I do believe, after many, many years, the Lord is bringing me into a ministry of encouragement for those with Alzheimer's. Because
wow.
that is such a population of great need in our country. It's growing. We haven't got the mystery solved yet. And there are so many of those folks out there that this is an illness that just defies medical discovery so far. And it also frightens people and disarms people in terms of how do I approach this person? What do I do for them? And the Lord is just making it so clear to me how easy it is to love them. And I think that again, I called in because I want people to hear. I want people to hear that maybe there is a mission that's right in front of you that you feel like the Lord's put in your lap, but you kind of, for some reason or another, put it aside. And don't explore that, and don't pick it back up. But it keeps coming back. And if it comes back, there's a good sign that's God.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mary, I have to comment on this. First of all, there's no, in my opinion, there's no accident that your name is Mary. That's number one. Yeah. Number two, I have to tell you that having been intimately involved now with family members with Alzheimer's, I just believe this in my heart of hearts, Mary, that those that feel called to this ministry to help those people that are struggling through dementia and Alzheimer's and all the Parkinson's and everything that is so misunderstood, because so many of us don't know how to even react with people going through it. I believe, Mary, that there's a special place in heaven for you guys. I really do, because it takes. Mary, I believe it, because I think God has picked out certain people that can open their heart very wide, and open up and really test their patience, and really test every limit that they can possibly test, and still manage to minister with joy and compassion and understanding. And so on behalf of my family who's going through my mom who's dealing with dementia right now, I want to just say thank you, Mary, for stepping up and really putting a beautiful face onto those who want to minister in that work. So thank you for that.
Thank you for your encouragement. It's really a joy to be with them, and it's I think a lot of people could discover that if they can get past that initial fear. Really, I do.
And Mary, I just want to comment real quickly too, something on what you said. It's not wrong to think the way that we're talking today. Like you said, the devil might want to get in there and perhaps plant seeds of unworthiness. Oh, God could never call me to do this, or even in our own minds, we want to be humble. We don't want to say, well, my legacy is. But I think it's a matter of where the spotlight is shining. If it's shining on my legacy, I want my legacy, then I think there could be a problem. But if we look at the question, how do I want the world, others, to be better because I trod the face of the earth, then I think it takes on a different tone, and we're not out to create a name for ourselves, rather to leave the world a better place. I don't know if that sounds reasonable to you, Mary, or not, but anyway.
Be a lifetime search.
Yeah.
To get to that. Mm-hmm.
Bless you, Mary. You can hear the music. We got to get to some other calls here in just a minute. Thank you for calling from Illinois. And we've got Renee, Laura, Philippe, Darlene, lots of people sharing their takes on leaving a legacy behind, leaving the world a better place. 1-800-585-9396.
From EWTN News Nightly in Washington, D.C., I'm Brian Patrick. Here's your EWTN News link. Donald Trump travels to Mexico to meet with President Enrique Peña Nieto. Their face-to-face meeting happens just hours before Trump delivers a speech on illegal immigration. Pope Francis creates a broad new Vatican office for integral human development, merging several pre-existing offices. This new dicastery will be headed by Cardinal Peter Turkson, president of the Pontifical Council for Justice and Peace. Heavy rain is expected across Florida today as a tropical depression looms in the Gulf of Mexico. North Carolina's Outer Banks will also likely get drenched as another tropical system blows by. And Pope Francis emphasizes faith in Christ brings salvation. At today's general audience, he focused on the gospel story of a woman healed from hemorrhaging after touching the cloak of Jesus. The Holy Father says faith offers healing, restores relationships, and affirms dignity. I'm Brian Patrick. Join us tonight for EWTN News Nightly.
I'm Raymond Arroyo with Mother Angelica, A Remarkable Life. When she was here at Sancta Clara at this monastery in Canton, Ohio, Sister Angelica had a nickname in the cloister. It was Miss Fix-It. She was the person they turned to whenever the appliances went on the fritz, or in one instance, the leaky basement began to flood. Mother Angelica was called in to fix it. She assembled a crew of fellows from the old neighborhood, became foreman of the project, and it would be the first of many projects this nun would preside over throughout her life. Stay with EWTN as we continue to celebrate the life and legacy of Mother Angelica.
Thanks for joining us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. We're talking about leaving a legacy today. That's what we're talking about. We're going to go right back to the phones. Renee, you've been waiting so patiently, listening to EWTN Radio in Georgia on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Renee. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you guys?
We're doing great. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks, Renee.
Doing fabulous. I just wanted to share with you that I want my legacy to be that I persevered through illness and that courage and suffering. I was able to be blessed with God, the Holy Spirit. I am a survivor, cancer survivor 2 times. Once as a child, I was told I would never have any children, and I have an adopted son who's 29, and I'm fixing to have my 3rd grandchild. So through perseverance, through many illnesses, I have learned that God's will be done if you just persevere and be obedient. And that's the legacy that I want to leave for my kids and for my family.
That's beautiful, Renee. So you remained faithful through all the trials and tribulations, and that's a testament for all of us. That's a witness for all of us to learn from and to grow on. And Renee, you said you're a survivor. I know you've heard this before on the show. From one cancer thriver to another, you've transitioned over to being a cancer thriver, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Amen.
Yes.
Amen. Because we're living life. Yeah.
Absolutely. When they told me at 9 years old that I would never have any children, my father, who is very faithful, my mother as well, they taught us the faith and still, religiously practice the faith, said, if Renee's meant to be a mother, she'll be a mother. It is God's will, not yours or mine or anybody else's. And so God is glorious and His will is divine, and we have to persevere and trust that whatever path we're on is the path that's meant to be.
Well said. You're so strong, and you're an inspiration to all of us. So keep that strength, because we're gonna watch that, and we're gonna learn from your strength. And so thank you, Renee, for imparting your personal story to all of us, because it helps us not feel alone, and it helps us to have that encouragement to keep going forward, to persevere, just like you said at the beginning when you first got on. Thank you, Renee. God bless you.
You're welcome. God bless
Thanks.
you.
Appreciate
you guys
the
have
call,
a great
Renee.
day.
Thank you,
You do
Renee.
the same, Renee. Thank you so much. All right, who would like to get that open phone line? 1-800-585-9396. How would you like to hope that the world will be better for you having lived your life? We sometimes call it a legacy, and sometimes that just a person doesn't at all set out to create a name or a legacy for him or herself. Look at Mother Teresa, who's going to be canonized in just days. Who would think, or who would have thought, that picking up the most wretched people on the face of the earth off the streets of Calcutta and embracing them and cleaning their wounds and feeding them, she certainly was not looking for a legacy in that. And yet, those of us who do humble things, hidden things very often, God will make a way for the world to find out about that, not for the glory of the individual, but for the glory of God. And so that's our conversation here today at 1-800-585-9396. Okay, Felipe in Reading, Massachusetts, listening to EWTN Radio on the Station of the Cross. You're next, Felipe. Thank you for calling.
Hi, it's a pleasure. This is my first time calling.
Oh, welcome. Glad to have you.
Thank you. Well, what I was thinking about was that a little while ago I was visiting a relative that's dealing with cancer right now. And through talking to another couple that was there, we found out that the husband has been having dialysis for a long time, many years, and the mother has been working to support the family. They have 5 kids. And, one of the things that touched my heart really in a very powerful way was when that mother said, God will provide. God's mercy will be with us. And that made me realize that I had to be the instrument that God needs as a way to bring mercy to these families. So I'm thinking that we need to join forces with other relatives and friends to really support this family, and through that support others that are in need. It could be financial need, it could be, dealing with death, it could be with any issues that they have, but we will come and give or be the, God's mercy to these families. I think that that's the calling that I want to be remembered by, and it might be that we start a foundation to help these families. Your prayers are welcome, because this is something new that I'm thinking about.
Yeah, we will certainly pray for that. And we had a couple of callers ago. Please forgive me, my short-term memory. I forget her name, Debbie. I know you take notes, but she was saying that sometimes what we're intended to do by God is often right in front of us, and all it takes is a matter of recognizing that. And Felipe, it sounds like you have done that. Maybe you weren't looking for this necessarily, or seeking this out, or maybe it wasn't in your mind for years and years and years. Hey, one day I'm going to do such and such. But Debbie, an opportunity and a need presented itself, and Felipe made a purposeful decision to step in and fill this role.
Absolutely. Felipe, you were open to it. And you being open to that, if like you're saying, if it's God's will, it'll flourish. Through prayers and through some hard work, that would be something that God would bless, because you were open to it. So thank you. That's one of the things when in religious education, a lot of catechists will try to impart to the youth and to adults, just to be open. When God is putting that on your heart that you need to do something, be open to where it's going to lead you next. And Felipe, you're doing that. Believe me when I tell you this, there's many blessings to come from that. especially when it's in alignment with what God wants, and it sounds like this ministry is. So we're going to pray for you that it is the right ministry and that you take part in it. You are the organizer. You are the one that gets it all set up, and that it flourishes and it helps many, many people. Felipe, would that work for you if we throw?
Will work for me,
Okay.
and I think that I'm taking the lead from my mother-in-law who passed away on December 28th last year. She was a person who did that kind of thing. So I think that, through helping these people, I will also honor her memory, and we'll get my kids involved. It will be a whole family, involvement, including teenagers and young kids. I mean, all kinds of ages. That's a way of saying, hey, God's mercy is coming to you through us. And I think that people will join forth. I mean, will join us in our effort. And thank you for your prayers.
Absolutely. Through prayer, many things can get accomplished, Felipe. Did you say mother-in-law? What was your mother-in-law's name?
Maria Esther.
Maria. Okay. Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Yeah, we will pray for her.
Thank you.
Thank you, Felipe. Appreciate the call very much to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. And this, again, really summarizes what we're talking about today. His mother-in-law led by example. I'm sure she was not out wearing a sign, hey, everybody look at me. She actually, again, she wanted the focus to be on the other, on others, and how their lives can be bettered by her life. And so Felipe saw that example, and it stayed with him. Seeds were planted, and he is now doing this. And I love what he said, Debbie. He says, my kids are going to be involved as well. So this is something that could go on for years and years. This is a living, lasting legacy right there.
Family, yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. Wow, that was a great, great call. Okay, Darlene, you're up next. You're listening to EWTN Radio in Texas. You're listening online. Hi, Darlene. Welcome.
Hi. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you.
Our legacy, mine and my husband's, is that we raised 20 children. We had 6, and then we had everything so good that we started thinking, how can we have all this? And there are children eating banana peels on the streets of Calcutta, or children starving in the Sudan. And so we thought, well, we'll adopt 2 more, a boy and a girl, and see how the other half lives, because we had the big 6 in less than 7 years, so we had been pretty busy. And then when social workers found out that we would take any child that was breathing, that was my husband's one insistence that the child be breathing. And so we ended up one by one, and sometimes several by several, taking the other 14 children. And we'd like to be remembered that we tried to give Christ let me back out of that. We gave Christ to all of the children and tried to give them the deepest kind of love and the love of family in the sight of God. And Catholicism in America, because some of our kids are foreign, and then we just prayed for them and said, okay, now you have free will. You know what's right. You go and do the right thing. And most of them are doing very, very well. A couple of them are still taking the scenic route, but most of them are doing very, very well. We have 42 grandchildren, and we just had our 16th great-grandchild, little Mario Alessandro Hernandez, and he's beautiful. So we have a multinational, multiracial, big family, and I'm also a writer. And hopefully, and I'm quite sure that my books reflect my faith, and it will speak for me, and more importantly, for God, long after I'm gone, because I'm getting up there. I'm 81 now. My husband's 84. Yeah. I'm still working writer, still teaching writing. I'm making a quilt for little Mario. I've got to stay busy. When God wants me, He'll let me know.
Yeah, you're my hero. Darlene, I have to the logical side of me, I just have to say it. What is Christmas like in your family? I mean, how do you do that?
Well, it used to be a zoo. It was wonderful. We from the very beginning when we had children, and I'll try to go through this really fast, we always put a piece of paper ribbon across the steps and told the children, Mommy and Daddy were up very late talking to Santa, and so you mustn't cross that line. And in all the years we had children, our born kids and our gifted kids, none of them ever crossed the line or slipped under the ribbon or tried to open it and go through and close it again. They all honored that. And what we used to do is on Halloween we would take those pumpkins and we would clean them and bake them and make our Christmas and New Year's and Thanksgiving pies out of those. So we started Christmas at Halloween, getting ready. It was our sort of a pre-Advent. And then on Christmas, on Advent, everyone would have to choose was it Advent, babe, or was it Thanksgiving? It was Thanksgiving. Everyone would we had a basket, and the names of all the people in the family. And you'd take a name, and then that was your Christkind, what they call now a secret Santa. Right. And all through pre-Advent and Advent, someone would go to brush their teeth and come back and find their bed made. Or somebody would find a candy bar on their pillow, or whatever chore they had to do. The whole thing or part of it would be already done, and no one knew who did it. So that's part amazing. Of Christmas is not just the presents, which piled up for half as high as the tree. You can imagine with 20 kids, everybody giving everybody else a present. It's not to be obscene.
Right.
But
Darlene,
was,
yeah. Darlene, can I just ask you a question? I just have to ask you this real quickly. I hate to even say this, but, if I were to slip to Texas and I could just slip into the family, you guys probably wouldn't even notice me, right? Can I join the celebration?
You could always join the celebration, which, of course, we don't do anymore now that we're so elderly, and I've always been a handicapped person. And my husband now is in chemo, so we don't have those kind of Christmases anymore.
Okay.
No. Just like God willed the other part, God wills this part. It's perfect. Yeah. It's exactly what we need.
Well, we'll be praying. Yeah, we'll be praying for you and your husband, though, Darlene, because having that, just know that prayers are around you brings comfort as well.
And one favor I want to ask you: please don't let me talk too much. I tend to talk and talk. So I know there are other people waiting, and I could talk to you for years, but I know there are other people waiting, and so I want to say God bless you all for what you do, and God bless all the people calling.
Darlene, God bless you. You are a living legacy, and it sounds like your husband is too, and you have raised now 20 kids who are going to all carry on your legacy and leave their own, and the world is no doubt, it already is, an immensely better place because of all your kids and grandkids and the great-grandkids. So, Darlene, you have inspired countless people today with your phone call. Thank you for joining us here on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We do have time to get others of you on the line here. Lynn, we're going to get to you in Boston, but I want to give the phone number, 1-800-585-9396. Very inspiring conversation today. Thank you all for your calls, as always. Lynn is listening to EWTN Radio on the Station of the Cross in Boston. Hi, Lynn. Thanks for calling Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. You are our next caller. Hello, Lynn. Welcome.
Hi. It's great to talk to you. I usually don't call in, but I'm a happy listener, and today I had an amazing Holy Spirit moment that I had to share when I heard Mary from Illinois talking about her call to ministry with Alzheimer's patients, because I feel we're kindred spirits. Just to briefly give you an overview of my situation, my mom had Alzheimer's. We traveled that journey with her for a decade, including 6 years that she lived with us while we had young children and we were working full-time, and we brought her into our home, and I have to tell you, we went from just total despair, which I think most people, first encounter when they hear that devastating diagnosis, to finding true joy, finding the face of Christ in her and serving her. There really is redemptive suffering that can bring blessing. And I found the Blessed Mother, the Rosary, so many wonderful caregivers along the way. So I've just been inspired through that. I mean, at some point I wanted to do something that would help bring hope to so many people, because it is such an epidemic, as we all know. And so I'm going through a career transition right now after 30 years in business, and I felt like I've been increasingly called to do something with this. So I'm, after much discernment, I've recently joined a Master's in Ministry program here in the Archdiocese, and am kind of sorting my way through of how I'm going to exactly fulfill this ministry, but I know it's going to include not only the patients, but as important, I think, the families, because that's where I think such amazing blessings can come out of seeing and journeying with someone with the disease.
Wow, Lynn, that's awesome. And then having the call from Mary, you were sharing how that was a confirmation to your prayers, and it's interesting, Lynn, because I've seen it in all the years I've been in ministry. There's no accidents. That God has a plan, and have you ever listened to a song and you're at a certain place in your life and you're listening to the song and it feels like the words of the song are speaking right to you, and you're sitting there going, "Oh my goodness, this is God trying to tell me something." I believe that there's a purpose in everything, and you listening to the show, you hearing Mary talk about her ministry with Alzheimer's, it's confirmation. God has a way of He will weave into any which way He can find an opening, so that He so that He gets to us. And I remember the old joke. Lynn and Jerry, what's the old joke about when somebody they were saying God person was praying for a sign from God, and he said, "But I sent you the boat, and I sent you the canoe, and I sent you the
helicopter."
A helicopter. How many more signs did you need? So I mean, God bless you, Lynn, because I think it does help all of us to really notice the signs and the symbols that God puts in front of us, so that we know what our path is. He's not leaving us here alone to try and kind of wander and figure out what our path is. He is pushing us and giving those confirmations to move forward closer to Him. And Lynn, your ministry and everything else that you're doing, God bless you for that. Like I said to Mary, I believe there's a special place in heaven for those that take on the ministry with Alzheimer's and dementia and Parkinson's and all these senior diseases that we are encountering now. Lynn, I'd love to hear any more comments you have on this.
Well, one thing I do want to say, because I think that, again, with that despair in the family, and not everyone can bring, their loved one into their home and care for them, and I didn't think it was going to be possible, but it was largely possible by virtue of everyone kind of working together, and my husband being, as I recently told him in front of family at a mass we had to honor our 30th wedding anniversary, I said, "You really are my hero," because he supported me largely because of his love for me. But through that, my mother and his relationship, even though she was in a different, state and didn't have the communication, blossomed. And so it has brought him closer in the faith. It's actually strengthened our marriage when at times I thought it was going to break us apart. Our children, who are now in college and out of college recently, have that witness that I think, and the other thing that I saw, the witness, don't underestimate, even when their communication is basically nothing, the power of witness that they can have. And just shortly, my mother ended up, after spending 6 years with us, in a hospice when we thought she was going to pass quickly, and I was recommended to me to give her that care. And we did it kind of begrudgingly, but she ended up living over a year at that hospice with the care that she got. She rebounded. But what people told me is they loved caring for her, and she continued her smile and her gentle personality that was her trademark throughout. And I know that people were converted through her presence. So never say, people will say, "Oh, they're not really there anymore." Don't let people tell you that. They're there. Their spirit is there.
That is powerful, Lynn. A great reminder. Thank you. And your mother's name, so we can add her to our prayers, Lynn?
Lorraine.
Lorraine. Okay.
Lorraine. She passed a number of years ago now. It's been about 6 years.
Well, we will certainly pray for her, and the entire Take Two with Jerry and family will be praying as well. Lynn, thank you for that. We're really so grateful that you called, and so grateful that you got this sign from God through Mary's call. And Mary, if you're still listening, this has to really help to kind of cement your day and maybe cement your legacy, Mary. I don't know. But Lynn, thank you. We're going to get over to Edwina quickly. We got about 2 or 3 minutes here, Edwina, in Rochester, listening to EWTN radio on the Station of the Cross. Hi, Edwina. Welcome.
Oh, hi. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Sure.
Regarding my legacy in life, as I see it, is that it's through my son. Unfortunately, I was an unwed mother, and I made the right choice, though, and that was to give birth to this child rather than abortion in those days. Now, I'm in my 80s, so this goes way back. So anyway, my son, I said a prayer over my son to God that he would never in his life be in a situation where he would be tempted by drugs or experiment with drugs and eventually become an addict. Unfortunately, the master's plan was not that. It was just the opposite. And he is an addict. He is a recovering addict today. And because of the epidemic with the opiates and also heroin addiction, especially in the New York area, he has got together with a couple other people, and they're doing a radio program to talk about addictions and also to help those that are in recovery now. And this is all information that is blessed by Narcotics Anonymous, etc. And anyway, my legacy would be that he continue with this work, and his God's plan for him was to put him in this position, give him this exposure, so that he in turn can help other addicts. And I, just always pray that will happen. Plus the fact there is not much in nothing in the New York State that will help addicts that are in recovery for maybe 6-8 weeks at some place, and then they're put right back out on the streets again, where they face all these temptations, and they're working to come up with a program blessed by New York State to come up with some school that will help recovering addicts or those that have the desire to recover that might still be in high school. And,
well, Edwina, let me jump in here. We're just about out of time. I apologize for the what may seem rude there jumping in, but we just the show ends in just a minute or so here, and I wanted to applaud you first of all and say you have to be proud of your son for what he's doing now. He is taking on this, what really is a ministry through this radio show of talking about addiction and providing help and hope for people who are struggling with addictions of any kind. And I know, because I've studied this some and had some experience. I've visited like St. Gregory Retreat Center in Iowa, where they have drug and alcohol rehabilitation, and I've met some of the men and women, and it's this may sound like a cop-out, but in many cases it's not their fault that they end up addicted. They may get I've heard of people getting sports injuries, construction injuries, and so forth. They get put on pain pills, and before you know it, their life is a mess. And so we need to pray for these people. And Debbie, we need to pray for Edwina's son and the others that he's involved in. They can have an unbelievable impact. Yeah.
Yep.
So Edwina, thank you for calling.
Yes, Edwina, you're a great mom. And you believe in your son, and that's so important. So bless you for being a great, great mom. Tomorrow's show, guys, you did great this show, but tomorrow's show, we're talking about the health care in the United States, and I've got a lot to say about this, Jerry. You haven't even heard half of it, and so I'm excited.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
Folks, you won't want to miss it. Until tomorrow, have a beautiful and blessed day. We'll talk to you then.